My name is Sejal Vora. I am a published author, TEDx speaker, and a corporate trainer. This is a little new for me, 1 second. Yeah. So I'm the author of a book series titled Simply Data, where I'm on a mission to simplify data for everybody. I'm the only Indian published author in this world with a book series like this. And through my corporate training programs, I like to say that I will transform the way you think and communicate with data. And in this 1 hour that I have today, I'll try and achieve a little bit for it. Now, people. The most important asset of our organizations is people. And I don't have to emphasize this at all to this group of HR leaders over here. I think you guys are an expert on people, so I'll stay out of that. But while we have spent this whole day talking about people, talking about digitalization, and talking about how we rethink HR, I think one important element that we are yet to touch upon, and I think they were probably saving it for me, is data. Sorry, this thing doesn't work. Yeah? So the one important element that we are yet to talk about since morning is data. The biggest byproduct of this digital age is data. When we combine the powerful asset of people along with the other most powerful asset that we have in our organizations today is when we are going to have HR analytics. Today in this next 1 hour, I want to talk to you about how we leverage both these assets, which is our people and the data about these people, which becomes HR analytics, to transform the way we do our business. This one thing, this has the potential to propel our businesses in a new era of success. Now, when I talk about people analytics, HR analytics, and data, I do not mean collecting data about every living, breathing, moving thing in our organizations. While we spoke a lot about mental health and wellness, we do not want to make our people insecure and anxious. By HR analytics, we mean using the existing data that we have in a manner to help us make better decisions, to help us understand our people better, to help us help them perform better, and in the whole long run, drive better value for our businesses. But before I dive deep into this sea of HR analytics, I want to bring you back to the show and ask you one fundamental question. A very basic question that all of us need to think not only in HR, but every aspect of our business. My question is, does data have a seat at your boardroom? Does data have a seat at your boardroom? May I request you to please raise your hands if the answer is no. Anybody who thinks data does not have a seat at their boardroom, I don't think anybody will raise their hands. I want to ask this question once again. Does data have a seat at your boardroom? This time, may I request you to raise your hands if the answer is a yes. Amazing, fantastic. Glad to see so many people say that data has a seat at their boardrooms. Now, little more, I want you to introspect, okay? May I request you, I'm going to move on the side for this one. May I request you to please take a moment to study this cartoon. Yeah? I see a couple of smiling faces. Does this represent the state of data in our boardrooms? No. Is it worse or better? Okay. I like that. Does this scenario seem familiar to you? Yeah? Do you also feel that there is a lot of data in your business with your HR departments, but somehow still it does not seamlessly percolate into business decisions and discussions? If yes, then you are not alone. This is the problem statement across companies, across organizations, across borders, across departments. And there is a Gartner survey which says that while 70% of organizations have increased investment in talent analytics, only 21% of leaders believe that they're actually utilizing that data effectively. This is getting much more closer to home. This is talking specifically about HR analytics. While the big data decade gave us ways and means to collect and store data, right? Today, we do not know how to use that data effectively. While we spoke about digitalization and transformation, we somehow missed talking about the next stage of that digitalization and transformation, which is actually utilizing the data that has been generated through those digitalization efforts. And that is my aim for this hour. That is my aim, mission for life, I think. We spoke a lot about aligning with purpose and purpose statement, and I think my purpose statement has become simplifying data for everybody. So in this 1 hour, I hope to somewhere increase that 21%. I hope that when you guys walk out of this room, I am able to make some difference to this 21% that we have over here. Now, when we talk about HR analytics, yeah, in this session and the way I teach data analytics and storytelling, my emphasis is not on telling you these are the 10 metrics you should look at and rest, sleep, go to bed, nothing more is needed. I'm not going to tell you this is the tool you have to work with and that's it, your data analytics is done. No. The way I teach data analytics, I have been very often told that I'm teaching what is called the psychology of data. I'm going to teach you how to think with data. The agenda of this 1 hour is to get you thinking. Data analysis, unlike commonly believed, does not happen on an Excel sheet or a BI tool. Only number crunching happens on those tools. Data analysis happens in only one place, which is our mind, our brain. And that is what I want to simulate today. We spoke about simulated learning, and I'll try my best to get you into those simulated learning environments to help you change the way you think and communicate with data. So HR analytics can help you make a difference in every aspect of your human resource function. In the earlier panel, we concluded by saying intent and action. If you really want to convert your intent into action, we will have to back it up with data. If I have wishful thinking, of certain things we spoke earlier in the day, very interesting, very time relevant, giving a sabbatical every 3 months, 15-day sabbatical every 3 months, if I walk into a boardroom with that, it will sound absurd. While we spoke about having a health index, all statements, all ideas, all intents that seem very relevant to the times will not be converted into action, will not be approved by our boards till the time we have not backed it up with data. And by data, I do not mean a list of 10 HR metrics, absolutely not. The way I want you to start thinking about data analytics, it has to become second nature to you. Everything you see in front of you has to be converted into data, analytics, decisions, message it helps you take. Earlier, Amit ended by saying that your laughs at the right moment tell me if my panel was successful or not. It is data analysis. It is data analysis at the purest form, at the rawest form. Human minds are hardwired to analyze data. All we have to do is equip our people with that basic fundamental foundational learning that helps data, analytics, and thinking become second nature. Stop restricting it to dashboards and metrics and start making data a part of your culture. So essentially, there are three broad pillars of any HR analytics strategy in an organization. First is understanding your organization goals. Second is having a data infrastructure that supports an HR analytics strategy. And lastly, building analytics capability within your people. Most important thing to remember is that an HR department is not functioning in isolation to the rest of the business. So your goals have to be aligned with the overall organization's goals. Thereafter, an HR analytics strategy will be well received in any organization when data has become an accepted part of our culture. While we had a lot of conversations about culture today, and we spoke about a lot of other elements, somehow we missed talking about data. Somehow we missed realizing that data and analytics also need to be an important part of our culture if we really want to drive data decisions, and more importantly, if we want to make the most of the millions of dollars that we have invested in the technology that helps us collect data. Yeah? Thereafter, this data strategy for your human resources department has to be a part of the overall organization strategy. None of this will be doable without a data infrastructure. It goes without saying. While I do not talk about technology and teach technology, technology is not my enemy. Technology is the foundation of what I am going to be teaching ahead, right? So yes, you need digitalization that helps you collect data. Yes, you need technologies that will make it easier for you to access data. Yes, you need your people to be capable enough to use both the technology and the data that we have there. What I want to focus on this hour, 45 minutes now, this clock is actually quite spooky. If you stand here, I understand now what all the speakers were going through. This clock can be quite spooky, right? So this 45 minutes that I have now, I want to focus on this third pillar, which is building the analytics capability of your teams, of your people for you, irrespective of the technology that we have. This analytical capability is primarily can be split down into three broad aspects. First is your people's ability to understand and analyze data. Huge volumes of data, multiple dashboards in your organization are of no use if your people, if you do not understand how to interpret data, how to analyze data. And for doing that, it's not only Excel or any BI tool that you need. You need the mindset, the thought process. Thereafter, we also, in an organization setup, analyzing it and keeping it inside my head is of no use. I have to be able to confidently walk into that boardroom and convey the insights that I have uncovered from my data so that I can get approval to convert my intent into action, for which we need to learn how to communicate effectively with data, wherein storytelling with data comes into picture. And lastly, this data analysis and this data storytelling should finally lead to data-driven decision. The whole point of collecting tons of data in an organization is to ensure that decisions are backed by data, so that they have more credibility, so that they could have more chances of success. So in this about 45 minutes that I have now, I'm going to quickly run through my broad frameworks that I help you in doing these things. Now, 45 minutes is not enough to teach an entire skill, which is why it's called a masterclass, right? So I'm just going to give you a quick, brief overview. I want to do an exercise with you guys, which is why you will see some papers and felt pens have been placed on each of the tables. I would love to get into that, but if this clock allows me to. So I'm trying to get there. Please bear with me. Yeah? So first, beginning with data analysis. What are the components of data analysis? The way I teach data analysis, completely mindset driven. Not taking away from any of the tools you are working with. Tools are great for number crunching. But once you have a decent set of data in front of you, thereafter, you need to apply your mind to convert that data into insights. So the first aspect I would like to talk about is how to build an analytical mindset. Thereafter, how to support that analytical mindset with analytical reasoning. The human mind is a pattern recognition machine. So how do we find patterns from data that can be converted into insights? And lastly, a new topic, a new concept which you would have never heard before, which is data intuition. Your intuition is backed by data, which is your experience. So while I'm here to talk about data decisions, I am not negating your intuition. It is equally powerful. Your intuition is also backed by data. What we want to go achieve is that ideal scenario where your intuition, which is your experience, and your data could come together to help you make the most powerful decisions. Yeah? So beginning with an analytical mindset, let's say first, you have a number, 18%. This number could mean anything under the sun. Let's say, I'm telling you this 18% is employee turnover or attrition or whatever other way you call it in your organization. Yeah? If somebody just tells you 18% is your attrition, does it mean anything to you? It will mean nothing. This 18% of employee turnover, when we look at it by itself, is like that small portion of that iceberg which is visible above the sea level. A number by itself means nothing. Human nature, it is not this that we are interested in. It is this that we are interested in. What is not available, not attainable, not visible is always what spikes our curiosity. So when we are throwing numbers at our audience, like the cartoon that I showed you in the morning, like every 100 dashboards that we have in our organizations, like the multiple HR metrics that we are measuring every week, every quarter, every year, in my vocabulary, they are what I call data dumps. Every form of data that you have in your organization today, I can say from experience, is a data dump where we are only reporting numbers. Numbers is not what helps make decisions. Finding the meaning behind the number is where the real analysis happens. This is where we will be able to drive insights and then convert it into a decision. So when I look at 18%, what thoughts come to your mind? Any questions come to your mind when you look at this 18%? Don't wait for a mic, just say whatever answer comes to your mind. When you look at this 18%, when I say attrition in my company is 18%, what comes to your mind? Sorry? What is the industry-wide percentage? Time frame? Sorry? How much of it is early infant attrition? Over this side here, scales are tipping over there, yeah? Has it increased or decreased? What else? How many high potential employees in this 18%, yeah? Some papers and felt pens have been placed on each of the tables. I would love to get into that, but if this clock allows me to. So I'm trying to get there. Please bear with me, yeah? So first, beginning with data analysis. What are the components of data analysis? The way I teach data analysis, completely mindset driven. Not taking away from any of the tools you are working with. Tools are great for number crunching. But once you have a decent set of data in front of you, thereafter, you need to apply your mind to convert that data into insights. So the first aspect I would like to talk about is how to build an analytical mindset. Thereafter, how to support that analytical mindset with analytical reasoning. The human mind is a pattern recognition machine. So how do we find patterns from data that can be converted into insights? And lastly, a new topic, a new concept which you would have never heard before, which is data intuition. Your intuition is backed by data, which is your experience. So while I'm here to talk about data decisions, I am not negating your intuition. It is equally powerful. Your intuition is also backed by data. What we want to go achieve is that ideal scenario where your intuition, which is your experience, and your data could come together to help you make the most powerful decisions. Yeah? So beginning with an analytical mindset, let's say first, you have a number, 18%. This number could mean anything under the sun. Let's say, I'm telling you this 18% is employee turnover or attrition or whatever other way you call it in your organization. Yeah? If somebody just tells you 18% is your attrition, does it mean anything to you? It will mean nothing. This 18% of employee turnover, when we look at it by itself, is like that small portion of that iceberg which is visible above the sea level. A number by itself means nothing. Human nature, it is not this that we are interested in. It is this that we are interested in. What is not available, not attainable, not visible, is always what spikes our curiosity. So when we are throwing numbers at our audience, like the cartoon that I showed you in the morning, like every 100 dashboards that we have in our organizations, like the multiple HR metrics that we are measuring every week, every quarter, every year, in my vocabulary, they are what I call data dumps. Every form of data that you have in your organization today, I can say from experience, is a data dump where we are only reporting numbers. Numbers is not what helps make decisions. Finding the meaning behind the number is where the real analysis happens. This is where we will be able to drive insights and then convert it into a decision. So when I look at 18%, what thoughts come to your mind? Any questions come to your mind when you look at this 18%? Don't wait for a mic, just say whatever answer comes to your mind. When you look at this 18%, when I say attrition in my company is 18%, what comes to your mind? Sorry? What is the industry-wide percentage? Time frame? Sorry? How much of it is early infant attrition? Over this side here, scales are tipping over there, yeah? Has it increased or decreased? What else? How many high potential employees in this 18%? Yeah? Voluntary, involuntary. Fantastic, yeah? At what level they are? Gender also we can, right? So when we look at a number by itself, it does not give us all of the answers. What we want to find are deeper answers to this question. First, we probably want to understand how it compares to other benchmarks. More or less, this is what we are doing today in the name of analysis, where we look at trends and we look at comps. Essentially, this is what we are doing in the name of data analysis. But real analysis happens when you start going deeper into that. So maybe you want to understand how much of that was a regretted loss. Yeah? But why do I want to understand? Because I want to understand why these employees left the organization. Why do I want to understand that? Because I want to know which employees are likely to leave next. Why do I want to understand? Because I want to implement strategies which could help me stop them from leaving the organization. Are you with me? Whenever you look at the number, we cannot look at it in isolation. Trend analysis and comp analysis is not data analysis, my dear friends. That is just the beginning point. But you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper from there. To help you in that, I have devised all these frameworks that I spoke about. Because data, business can be so wide, to help you get some structure, some order, I have devised some frameworks to help make your life easier. Now, all of these frameworks that I talk about are purely from experience. Yes, today I'm a author, coach, trainer, etc., etc., but my foundation has been of a data analyst. Yeah, I have spent a decade of my life in the financial services industry being a data analyst who collected data, analyzed data, wrote reports for a decade of her life every day. So everything that I talk about in this masterclass or my training programs or my books is purely from practical experience, all right? It is not theory. I would look at things the same way that I'm going to talk about it right now. So the first thing you need to do is develop an analytical mindset. What is the foundation of an analytical mindset? Number one, the analytical mindset has what I call constructive curiosity. Humans are curious beings, right? We want to know everything. Panchayati, gossiping. In nature, accept it. But what we want is, we want to make this constructive. You are not going to be happy with a piece of number because that has been given to you. You want to dig deeper and deeper and deeper. You want to uncover the layers. Think of it like a treasure hunt. Data analysis for me is like going on it out because you will get more clarity in that. Yeah? Moving ahead to the next very, very important piece, which is analytical reasoning. The most important quality of a data analyst is their ability to make their data talk. Yeah? Data is just numbers. Just imagine you're sitting with an introvert friend. A friend who is an introvert or a partner who is an introvert. It's a nightmare to have a conversation sometimes, right? How do you make them talk to you? If they are not going to open up to you, how do you make them talk? By asking questions. What questions? Relevant questions. If you ask them a question about a topic they are not interested in, they are going to shut down further, right? So that is all there is in data analysis. Analytical reasoning is about asking questions to your data to make it talk to you. What questions do I ask? Not anything that comes to my mind. Structured questions. The questions we ask are what, how, why, and where. We always begin by asking the question what. which is more exploratory in nature, to understand what is the context here, what is going on, what is this about. What is the number? 18%. What is happening around me in context to this number? Thereafter, I want to understand how did this number get to being where it is right now? That is where maybe some of your trend analysis will happen. It was 17% last year, it is 18% this year. Then we come to the most important question, which is why is this number where it is? And lastly, where does it go from here? Analytical reasoning is about asking these 4 relevant questions. Yeah? So should we give it a try with our 18% attrition? This is all hypothetical scenario. Okay? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be factually true. It is hypothetical. So when I say attrition is 18%, what is happening in your company and in the industry with respect to attrition as on today? Everybody who's sitting behind, we have tables which are empty here. So if you come up front, you will be able to click better pictures. Do you want to come ahead? Appraisal के बिना कोई काम नहीं होता ना. Yeah, guys, so attrition is 18%. Hypothetically speaking, what is happening in the industry today when it comes to attrition? Haji? Is the attrition high, low, improving, decreasing? I can't read minds. I can teach you how to apply minds, but I can't read minds, so somebody has to speak up.
It is industry-wise different.
I'm just saying hypothetically. So if you're talking overall in India, what is happening with attrition? Hypothetically speaking, if 18% doesn't seem like a valid number to you, we could take any other number.
So comparative to 18%, it is lower than the 18% if you look at overall.
Overall industry. So overall industry comparatively seems that it is lower. So my company has relatively higher attrition compared to the overall HR industry. What else do you think might be happening in the industry in respect to attrition? Well, one thing that comes to my non-HR mind is that after COVID, markets have opened up. So the outside forces are likely to support higher attrition, which might not be in my control. Are you with me? So you have to try and understand. Of course, right now we are doing a very generic discussion because we are a very diverse group of people here. But you have to think about these things in your context, in your business context. Thereafter, how did this number get here? So last year, was this number higher or lower, hypothetically speaking? Sorry?
It was lower.
Last year it was lower.
Just after COVID.
The year before that it was higher or lower? 5 years before this, was it higher or lower? Yeah? So these are things we have to understand. So today, markets have opened up, because of which attrition has increased. However, my company's attrition is still relatively higher than the overall market. That was my understanding of what? Are you with me? How did it get here? Attrition today is relatively higher than last 2 years. Sorry, relatively higher than last 2 years. But it is still at par with what it was 5 years ago. This is my how piece. Are you with me? Understanding these buckets is very important to be able to understand the next piece, which is why. Now the questions I need to answer. Why is my company's attrition higher than the industry? Why is my company's attrition increasing in the last 2 years? Why is my company's attrition at par to 5 years ago and not higher or lower? Are you with me? Finding the answers to these questions is where the real data analysis happens. Now, I often like to say, the data in front of you only throws questions. The answers lie beyond the data set. Most people in the name of data analysis are making pivot tables, running Excel formulas, working with some dashboards. That is not where the real data analysis happens. The answers to these questions are here. Where are they? Here. They are in my knowledge. They are in my methodical approach. They are in my visionary thinking. Are you with me? That is where the answers to this why are. So these questions that I have raised in front of you, hypothetically speaking, what could be the answer to this? Why is my attrition higher than the industry? What could be the possible reasons? No increment, change in work culture. यार दिल की भड़ास निकालो, सब निकालो. Huh? Now let's. It could be so many things, right? It could be so many things. To start with, I might start with a big list. Again, I will need another round of data analysis to figure out actually what is the answer. Are you with me? Now this how and why will lead me to the where. Now if I realized the reason behind higher attrition is lower appraisal, less increment. That is, I'm saying this is the reason why my attrition is higher. Where does this go from here? Will the attrition now increase or decrease is contingent upon this increment. So when you walk into that boardroom to your management, and if they're asking you to improve your retention, now you have data to back it up and say, boss, this is the problem, why attrition is this, these are the steps we need to take. Will it convert into action or not? I don't know, depends on a whole lot of other things. But backing it up with this entire methodical approach with data definitely adds a lot more credibility to the case we are representing. Now, from time to time, it might not always be possible for your solid data-backed decisions to get approval, because in organization setups, it's not just one decision you want to make. They are all in connection with a lot of other things that they are happening. But that doesn't mean my data decision isn't true. Today, it might not have made the priority list, but it has got the due recognition. It has got the due acceptance. At some point, when strategy meets it, we will get that decision as well. Are you with me, everybody? Yes. Makes sense?
Yes.
Is this approach a new approach of looking at data? Yes. Yeah? Very easy to apply? You'll be able to do it in every kind of data? Yes, no, maybe, yes. No, Sejal, you are very boring, let me get up and walk out of this room. Something is always good, little bit, anything is always good, yeah? So, moving ahead quickly to the next piece, which is pattern recognition. I will not be able to get into depth of that in this masterclass because of the limitation of time, because this is a slightly more complex topic that I usually need to explain with a lot of examples on my slide. Yeah? So I'm just going to skim through this for now due to the limitation of time. So when we talk about pattern recognition, data analytics is all about finding patterns in data. Okay? The human mind is a pattern recognition machine. Data analytics is all about finding patterns in data. So how do we make that easy for you? It doesn't matter what kind of data I have. It doesn't matter what kind of metrics I have. There is only and only a limited way to approach this, and which is what I have tried to cover in this one simple guide. So the moment there is a data set, now pattern recognition is more specific to numerical data. Everything else, like the other three frameworks that I'm talking about, is not restricted only to numerical data. It could be any kind of qualitative data as well. Pattern recognition becomes a little more specific to numerical data. Its application could be in qualitative data, but more in numerical data, right? So whenever you have a table of data in front of you, essentially the first thing we look at is trends or patterns, trends or relationships, yeah? Is it across time? Is my data across time? Or is my data category heavy? Or variables are more than time series? That is the first way we look at it. Under trend, I want to see first the direction. Is it moving up, down, stable? After that, what happened? Oh, sorry, this screen got switched off somehow. Okay. Sorry, it's a new slide change. I'm not used. Got it. Yeah. So first I want to see direction. Up, down, stable. Then I want to see ranking. If I have more than one categories in time series, which one is higher, which one is lower. Then I might want to see the pace, the slope of the line. Is it moving up faster? Is it going down faster? Then I might want to see if there are any outliers or any inflection points. Is there one particular point that goes off course? Does the line go off course and then permanently change direction or intent or whatever? Are you with me? In a relationship, focus is first on ranking. Categories, which is high-low. Then I might want to see once again pace. What is the gap between high-low? One is 500, while others are in the range of 100 to 200. Or one is 220, and others are in the range of 100 to 200. Are you with me? That pace is very important, right? All these things will help me get to the why better. Okay? Is there an outlier in that box? Is there a cluster? 3 categories are in the similar range, 4 categories are in another similar range. Or is there a causal relationship that when A increases, B falls, vice versa? This is essentially the fundamental of finding patterns in numbers. इससे ज़्यादा और कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Little bit here or there, but this more or less covers all types of patterns you can find in data. Data analysis is this simple. But the important thing to remember is that every data set has multiple patterns. I always say it's not about finding all the patterns. It's not about finding interesting patterns. It is about finding relevant patterns. A lot of times we have a tendency to pick an insight that seems interesting to us. And I say it's not about what is interesting to me. It is about what is relevant to my audience and my current business context, which is why we begin with what first. My analytical reasoning begins with what first, because without understanding the context, I cannot move ahead. So far, so good? Any questions? All cool? Moving ahead then to the last piece, which is data intuition. In today's data age, a lot of people might feel intuition is irrelevant. A lot of intuitive decisions might not be accepted by your audience. Personally, although I'm a data expert and I talk about data, I feel intuition is a very, very powerful tool. Intuition is not something that can be completely disregarded. However, we need to understand that my intuition is also backed by data. Through years of experience, this supercomputer has collected and stored tons of information inside. When a particular incident happens, this supercomputer is so fast that it goes through that database of my memory and finds a relevant pattern and makes sense of it and presents it to me in an instant. Because it is so fast, I'm not able to define the methodical approach that went into arriving at it, which is why I call it intuition and not analysis. But that does not mean intuition is not powerful. Intuition is very powerful. However, in an organization setup, intuition is not enough to make decisions. So what do? We want to convert it into data intuition. Yeah? Data intuition is whole brain thinking. So typically in organizations, you have largely two types of people. One who only have data and are clueless about what data means. A lot of your junior to mid-level population sits here. They have tons of data, tons of dashboards, tons of presentations. They are clueless. No use. Absolutely no use. Or we have another set of people, most likely your senior business leaders, who have a lot of experience behind them, and they know it intuitively. This is the problem, this is the corrective action. However, in an organization setup, neither of the two are strong enough to help me arrive at a decision. So I need to start supporting my data and my intuition with data analysis. Sorry. For someone who has no clue about intuition, is only looking at data, they can start developing what I call analytical intuition. It is related to common sense. When I ask you, what could be the potential reasons that attrition is higher than the industry? You all have common sense. That gave me 10 reasons. That is the starting point of analytical intuition. From there on, you collect relevant data, analyze the data, and see what fits. Likewise, with intuition. With intuition, what happens is that you don't have 10 options. You probably have 2 options. You are beginning with a narrower set of list. You probably know that appraisal is not a problem in my organization. Change of policy is the problem in my organization. You already have the answer. You will thereafter look for data to support it. However, we don't want to fall in the trap where we decide what is the end goal and then find data to fit the scenario. We don't want to fall in that trap. We want to let data speak volumes, and when we combine analytical intuition with data, or what I call intuitive reasoning with intuition, we will lead to what is called data intuition. Data intuition is the place where we want to be, where we are making, doing whole brain thinking, utilizing the most of both our data and our experience. With this, I've come to the end of the discussion on the data analysis piece. However, just having the insights is not enough. Those insights need to be communicated to an audience. Only then intent can be converted into action. Now, the state of data communication in organizations, unfortunately, is something like this. Is this worse than the cartoon I showed you? Unfortunately, what we are doing in the name of charts, reports, presentations in organizations today is just dumping data. Anybody who has data sets like this, think about the presentations or dashboards that reach you every day. You have to analyze them yourselves to understand what's going on. An audience should never have to analyze. The analyst, the individual who is analyzing the data, should analyze the data and present the insights on a platter. So instead of this, what I call a data dump, this same data, when it is represented this way, yeah? Is this more credible? Is this easily understandable? Is this self-explanatory? Are these charts difficult to make? Bar chart, donut chart, pretty much everybody knows how to make. That is what a data story is. A data story is not about dumping data on your audience. It is about first analyzing the data to uncover the what, how, why, where, find the insights, see what decisions it leads to, then, make a story like this. Also, go a step ahead and always support it with call to actions, with recommendations, with a solution orientation. This is what we mean by a data story. How do we do this? To be able to do this, the way I teach, so typically I would teach data storytelling alone in 2 to 3 days. I'm going to sum it up for you in this clock is ticking, it's gone in red right now, in less than 5 minutes, yeah? So it's just going to be a very high level overview. So there are 2 pillars, essential pillars of data storytelling. One is the science of data and analytics, which is your ability to build the story through data analysis. The second is the art of storytelling and design, which I will come to in a moment. In terms of the science of data, we need the ability to first find the story, for which we have to analyze the data, the entire process that I spoke about. After analyzing data, the whole narrative has to come together. It has to be cohesive. A story is a linked set of events which some characters go through. So that link, that cohesiveness, that stitching of that narrative together has to happen. Thereafter, this story which is currently in my head is intangible. I need to give it a tangible shape and format for which I need to craft a story, for which I need to first choose the appropriate chart type, the appropriate data visual. Thereafter, I need to use visual design. It has to be aesthetically pleasing, and a lot of other elements of visual design that go into making the solution that I showed you. This is how I would go ahead teaching data storytelling. With this, I've pretty much come to the end of this discussion. When I want to build the story, I use the same analytical reasoning framework. Okay? Typically, the context of your story, the beginning of your story comes from the what section. Your analysis is the body of your story, of your data story. The why piece typically is the aha moment, the climax of your story. And the where piece becomes the end, which is the decision or the recommendation that you are making. You know, I have a habit of walking and talking, and wherever I go, somebody is taking a picture, somebody is taking a picture. So I'm like trying to freeze in a position that I don't disturb anybody. My apologies if I was in your way anywhere, yeah? So this is, in a nutshell, essentially the elements that go into converting that analysis into a story. With this, I wanted to do an exercise, but I think we don't have enough time. So with this, I've come to the end of this masterclass. I'm still happy to do a quick exercise if you guys are up for it and if the organizers allow me to. Otherwise, I will conclude it over here.